I'm still very interested in the region and these customers and the customers, the telco customers. Even now that I'm more into data center business, the actual connectivity of the customers that I was serving at the time is so important. Fiber is so important in Africa. Satellites are so important, subsea. These are so important that it actually changed. When I was in Europe, I didn't have my own preference. Like, I was like, okay, I can work here and I can work here, maybe tech. Okay, I was always in IT, but I didn't have preferences. Over there, it was mind-blowing. The other thing that had a very big impact is I suddenly realized that I had so many skills that were needed because we always were running out of hands. There was always, I think these organizations, they're kind of patchy. They're trying to post here, people there. But, our biggest teams were in South Africa. So, where I was in the countries, we often didn't have someone to do something. Or we were doing something here locally and someone was deciding something in Johannesburg. And actually, it allowed me to work so much outside of my remit that my job description was completely, you are so flexible, you can do what you want. And actually, this would never happen if I stayed in Europe, because in Europe you have this, and there are so many other experts that are better than you to do other things, and you're not allowed to do a lot of projects. You don't have that opportunity. So I think that was definitely still the best decision in my life, career-wise.
Nice. Very cool.
I like the question.
It's very nice. Actually, this is mine because now you said something that it triggered my curiosity. How did the decision to go back home came with?
Yeah, so I was there 4.5 years in West Africa, and there were a few factors. One of it was I started to be tired with this newness and these, you always have to be, it's a very different world, I think. And after a while, it tires you. It's kind of like a very everyday thing, that, I couldn't buy something on Amazon or something small, that I couldn't have this thing. And after a while, when you had to go without certain things, you're feeling like you're sacrificing. So I started to kind of feel that I wanted a change. The other thing that is serious and kind of was a important factor was health. So I was, I went there feeling like I'm invincible, like I will never be sick, and I was never sick, almost ever, like normal things, but I was never seriously ill. And being in these countries, well, I felt nothing will happen to me, and I was, immune to anything, made me realize that there are these advancements in medicine that we take for granted, that, there are still illnesses that are very serious. And, I was always, for the 3 countries, I was in malaria zone. So you're kind of starting to realize you unfortunately see or hear people dying from things that are not necessary, like unnecessary. And it kind of works on you. This worry started in me that, what if I have a malaria? What if what if my daughter has malaria? She was then 1 year old, and we were in Cotonou where there was no emergency services. You can't call an ambulance. There will be traffic jam or something. It's actually very complicated. So you're always on your own. And even, you have this great resource as an expat, obviously. Like I had, this is completely not comparable to someone that lives in there and has to work with their own resources. But I got tired of, I had to go, before going to the office, I had to stop by to test from finger to malaria so many times because I was feeling unwell. So, when you have like a nose kind of blocked or you slight fever, immediately you have to go and check yourself. And at first it's kind of like maybe thrilling, I'm a thrill seeker. So I was thinking this is experience and but after many years and months, when you hear someone really getting ill or some complications, and these were things that I've seen, I started to be worried. This was kind of like heavy, and I was just like, I just want to leave and be somewhere where it's predictable. And I think that predictability and that kind of safety, and together with the time I spent and being, having a very exposed role as well, where I had to stay, there was some unrest, civil unrest, I had to stay. There were some other things, there were a lot of things happening in DRC at that time. And the decision also mine was that I will stay, there were like a lot of things. And I think after a while, it kind of stop, this bit by bit kind of comes to you, and you're like, if there is an opportunity, I will, I will leave. And I actually, there was also a change of my boss. My boss has left, and I was like, it's a good opportunity. And I resigned from Ericsson. So I went back. And for the first time, I was thinking, actually, maybe it's a good idea to go back to Poland. And I never was considering previously going to my home country. I never worked in Poland. At that time, my Polish started to be so-so, like I wasn't using it at all. So, but my family is very big in Warsaw. It's very easy to be in Warsaw. They said, oh, there is a house waiting for you. We have a flat you can take. There were a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, that my family, I have a lot of siblings, was kind of like, I was like, wow, this might actually happen. I might go to my own, country and work there. So I decided to go back to my country. So I wasn't going back to London. That wasn't an option ever for me at that time. I wanted to go to my home country. Yeah. So that's the story.
Very nice. I suppose the fact of having your family on a family on your own also affected that decision, no?
Yes. So my mom, when she heard me speaking to my very small daughter in French, she was like, I don't believe you're speaking to her in French. And I'm like, how can I speak to someone that doesn't speak back in my in Polish, that I don't speak with anyone? And she was like, no, I cannot foresee my granddaughter not being able to speak Polish. You have to do something with this. And I was like, yeah, it's a difficult language. That's a fair point. So yeah, that was a big factor as well, that she comes back in and lives in Poland and speaks Polish. Yeah, totally.
Nice. So before we wrap up the episode, it's nearly 1 hour already recording. Time flies. Of course, I would like to give you the stage to see where listeners can connect with you,
Yeah.
where can people follow you, or find your work.
Yeah. So I'm mainly present on LinkedIn. I would say I write or try to write a lot of articles. There are some articles as well from my experience in West Africa. So I'm, welcome anyone, any questions or anything that your listeners might have through LinkedIn. I'm thinking of writing a book, but more, not really on expat life, more like business book. So I would say it's more like watch this spot. Let's see what will happen. I don't know yet, but it's exciting. I think there are exciting times ahead for us. I feel that.
Nice. So as always, the link to the Vanda's LinkedIn will be in the description of the episode, and eventually, if when this goes live, there is a book there, the link will also be in the description. If not, stay tuned in the LinkedIn, and I assume you will publish something about it there.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we go, I would love if we can finish a little bit with an unexpected expert story or a funny one that you had in your time in Africa, was with this moment that you only think, oh, this can only happen in Africa.
Yeah, so something that you will not expect, or I haven't expect. So I was on my first day in Abidjan. I arrived and I was kind of very, kind of nervous, not knowing what to expect. And I'm coming to Ericsson offices, very nice. And I see the cleaning lady that is sitting on a tablet. So she's actually, that was 10 years ago, because I started in Abidjan 10 years ago. So she's basically writing or playing on a tablet. And I was like, and then I realized my own expectation, which was, well, probably there are not tablets available in Africa, or probably there is no access, maybe the Wi-Fi is not great. And I think it made me realize, and actually I've seen it later on, there is a completely different development in digital technology in Africa, in West Africa specifically. And, I would say it's completely different. It's not linear. No one had these small Nokia phones, I mean, yeah, maybe later, but everyone started to be very digital. And I remember, seeing that and then telling my mom about that this surprised me. And kind of it tells me and us in Europe that, we're expecting everything the same and things are completely different. They kind of compressed and, in many ways, the same week or the same day, maybe I've seen someone paying with their phone, which was completely not possible at that time in Europe. So, that no matter what we think we know, we don't know. I would say.
Nice. It's a nice last sentence to wrap up your experience. I think, Wanda, it has been an amazing experience to talk with you, to have the opportunity to share the story, your business perspective on the topic also, which is a very powerful story and an empowerment from a
Mm,
young woman going alone into the West African countries to work. So thanks a lot.
thank you so
It
much,
has been
Mark.
very nice. For all our listeners, as always, don't forget to subscribe, to follow, share this episode, and leave a comment of what you think about this experience. Until then, keep exploring, stay curious, and see you in the next episode of Expat Experts.